Hello, welcome to week 18 of JavaScript classes. And today we're going to look at JavaScript concepts like classes, conditional statements, maths, and sets. Now, in the class lesson, we have looked at these topics. So today, like we usually do, we're going to use these topics to create something on the web page so we can see how they are used. Now, this might not be the exact use of these concepts, but for illustration purpose, we're just creating this as an example. All right, so like we usually do, I have created a page that we're going to apply the JavaScript classes. For the first section here, which is for classes and objects, we want to create a class that is going to pass to an object. We'll pass the class to an object, and we have a function for that called createCar. So the function or the object will be a car. So recall from the class lesson that JavaScript classes are object-oriented. It's an object-oriented programming, and it uses objects to design applications and programs. So in this case, objects are going to be instances of classes. Basically, objects are instances of classes, which can be considered as blueprints for objects. Now, in JavaScript, classes are a template for creating objects. So what we're going to do here, we're going to create an object of a car. So when we start writing the script, it's going to make a lot more sense. Now, the first section here, by the time we click this button, the function which we've created that was going to make use of a class for creating cars. So like we said, the class is like a template, and we're going to use it to create an object. So the object here will be a car. So when we click the button, it's going to create a car object. Now we have another section for conditional statements. And what we have here is we want to look at what happens when we input a particular number. And once the number is entered, we want to check by condition what the state of the number is. So it depends on the number we input. It's by when we write our conditional scripts, it's going to tell us the state of the number. All right, now for the third section here is for math operations. We're going to write a script that is going to perform some math objects in JavaScript. Just little exercise we're going to have on this. Then we are going to look at sets in JavaScript as well. All right, so let's begin with classes and objects. So we've seen how to create classes in JavaScript. So classes are created using the class keyword. So we're going to create a class and then methods, and also we're going to create a function for our clickable button to be able to run the scripts and create a car object. All right, so let's start creating the class. Let's start from the class. So to create a class, we use the class keyword, and the name of the class. So the name of this class here would be car, since we're trying to create an object of a car. So this is going to be a template for creating car objects. So the name would be car, and in a pair of curly braces, we are going to make use of the JavaScript class constructor, which is called constructor, to create the objects. And the object we want to create here is going to be the properties of a car. So this is going to help us create the objects. for the car. So let's give the properties. Now, what are the kind of properties we have for cars? We have to identify a car, the properties helps us to differentiate the different type of cars that exist. And now one of the property is the brand. So we're going to have the brand as the value, one of the value. And then we're going to have the model of the car. And also we lastly want to know the year. So each model or each car has a production here, and this is what differentiates the different makes of cars from even the same brand. The years are what we use to differentiate them. So that's why this is very important that we make use of classes to create objects like this. All right, now we have specified the properties or the elements. Now we want to look at how to make sure that these properties are not just binded to this car class, are also created as an object that whenever we are creating an instance, we can use them as a container to store the informations or pass to an object. So let's do this by using this keyword, and here we're going to specify in a pair of curly braces. So we say this brand, this is going to be the container for the brand, and we expect that when we create an instance or an object, it's going to be the property will be stored in the brand property will be stored in this container. And then also we have for this model, and this will be for the model. Lastly, we have for this the year, and this will be for the year. Right now we've created the objects, and next we want to create a method for the class. So when we call this class, this method is going to be automatically called whenever we need to use this class to create an object. So what do we want for the method? We want it to return a particular string format. We want it to give an information about the objects that we're going to create. So I'll call this method display details. Now, when we are creating methods, it looks like when we create functions. The only difference here is that we're not using the term function, nor do we use the keyword function before creating this method. But basically, this is just going to be like we do for functions, how we create functions and write functions. So what does this method do? This method is going to return a string statement, and here we're going to look at it. We're going to write this formatted string differently from how we've been writing it. I'm going to use a backtick for this. And now inside this backtick is where we're going to specify the string, formatted string. So now I want to say, basically, I just want the informations to display whenever this function is called. So I want to call on this objects to display here. And the first object here is for the brand. So unlike when we use the plus operator before the name of the variable, which we expect to display the value or the function that we have created. Here, we're just going to write it as a pound sign. So we're going to use the curly brace. Inside the curly brace is where we specify the object. So we say this brand and then I want the next object to display, and this is for the model. So this to be this dot model, and next this dot year. I'm going to close this. All right, so now we've created a method for the class. In order for us to have this displayed on the web page, we are going to create an instance where we use this class to create an object for the instance. So the instance here will be our function we're going to call, and in the button we have create car as our function. So I'm just going to copy this. So let's create a function. We use the function keyword, function, and specify the name of the function. And in a pair of curly brace, we want to pass this class into the function. So when we call this function, I want to create a variable here. Say let my car equal to new. So when you want to call the class, when you want to pass a class to an instance like this, we use the new keyword to call the class. So we say new, and the name of the class is called car. Say new car, and then we give the properties or the objects. We pass the objects into the variable like this. So I'm going to specify in a pair of brackets the objects. So we have in this parameter the properties that we want to pass as an object. So here I'm just going to specify the properties. We're going to give the properties here, but because we've called this class, we'll call the car class. We've called the car class. It's going to return the method we specified with the object. So automatically, this just creates the object for the car instance. So we're going to say that the name, the brand now will be Toyota. And the model would be Corolla. And the year, let's use 2020. So this is not in a quotes because it's a number. and then we end this line of code. And what this function is going to do is going to print this object to the screen using the documents dot get elements by ID, and here the ID, let's get the ID. The ID is car outputs. That's HTML. Equal to, now we're just going to allow the class to create the objects in this instance, and we're calling this my car, which is the object we've created. So say my car. And the method we want to return from the class, and the method is called display details. I'm going to close this and save. So if all goes well, refresh the page. Okay, so script isn't running. Let's check the console to see why it's not running. Okay, it says on line 71, car is not defined. Okay, so the car word I used started with a uppercase letter, so I have to make sure that it's the same as the car class word that we used for the class. So I'm going to refresh this car instance. So now when I click I'm going to refresh again. So when I click the create car objects, it's going to create the objects that we created. So using the car class as a template, we've successfully created an object for this my car. So my car now is the object, and we use the car class, which we have set the brand and model and the year to display using the method called display details, where we returned just the properties as the output for this my car object. So you see here that now we've successfully created an object using the car class. So this is how to create a class, and also we've also seen how to output this. This is just one way, but there are different purposes and different ways we can do this in JavaScript. Right, next, let's look at conditional statements. For this conditional statement illustration, we want to create a script where we can input the number and then check the state of the number once this button is clicked here. So now when we click this button, we have nothing. So let's create the script for this conditional statement. So we can see how we can condition something to display depending on the state of what the inputs or the value that is given. So the conditional statements here, we're going to make use of the function for the button, and the button is check number. So we're going to create the function check number, and now what we're going to do here is we want to have a prompt that will ask the user to input a particular number. So remember how we looked at different ways to output content to the page from JavaScript. So yeah, let's say what the user would enter in a variable. So I'm going to say let's number, since we're going to be checking a number, let number equal to whatever the user inputs in the on the web page. So we use the prompts keyword. Normally we have used the get elements by ID and specifying .value for the inputs. So let's use the prompt to take in an input. So we're just going to specify in the prompt a placeholder that we want the user to see. So here I would say enter a number. Now, this is going to be the first step. We want the user to enter a particular number before we now check the number. So let's make sure that the number entered must be a number. So we can further say number should be a number using the number method as number equal to, sorry, in a pair of brackets, the number variable, which will hold the number that will be entered. I'll just copy this and paste here so it's sure. All right, I'll close this. Now let's give the condition now once this number is entered. So the results, we say let's result. So this result will be the variable that will hold the conditions. So the first is if the number, so in brackets, we say if number is greater than 0. This is the first condition. So we usually specify the condition after the if statement. After the if statement, in a pair of brackets, we specify the condition, and then we, in a pair of curly brace, in between the start and end of the curly brace, we are going to give the condition, what will happen for if that condition is met. So if number is greater than 0, we want the result to print out, want something to be displayed. So expect that results now it will be equal to the number is positive. But what if the number isn't positive? So this is where conditional statements is very important. So this first condition will be met if the number is positive. That's why we say let results if number is greater than 0. So every number greater than 0 is a positive number. Now, if the number isn't positive, we have to give a condition for that as well. So I'm going to close this line here, and we give our second condition. Now, if the number isn't positive, we use the else if, and the condition, the next condition that says we want to check now if the number is less than 0. number is less than 0, we want the result to print out. The result now would be the number is negative. Now, this isn't the only condition we can give. We can give a final condition. If the first condition isn't met, second condition isn't met, the condition could go as much as there are more options of conditions we desire to give. But for this situation, we can only have a number as either greater than 0, less than 0, or 0 itself. So the third condition we can include here would be else. So we always use the else statement to add more condition. You could use the else if or the else. So in this case, we use else if because it's the second condition before the last condition. So we use else if, and the last condition now, we're going to also give another condition. And this one, we are just going to use this as our final condition, which is, however, if the first or second condition isn't met, this is just going to be returned to the screen. So this is going to be the third condition, and this is just going to be results should be equal to the number is 0, or let's say your number is 0. So let's print this out to the screen using the documents.getElements by ID. Now we'll be using the ID we've created. So we say documents.getElements by ID, and the ID is condition outputs for our conditional statement. That's inner HTML to make sure it prints out to the screen. Now, what do we want to print out? We want to print out the results. So these condition statements were all conditioned in the result variable. So we're going to print out the results, since the whole function expects that if a number is entered, we want the result to give us the conditions. We want the result to be the conditions of the states of the number that is entered. So that's why we use the number container that, or the number variable that we've created here. So in the result, we want to say whatever is entered in the number variable, after the prompt has been shown on the screen and the user enters the number, this number variable here makes sure that it's a number and not a letter. And once the number is entered, we want the result to use this number to tell us if it's less than 0, it should give us the result, the number is positive. So if it's greater than 0, the number is positive. And if the number is less than 0, the number is negative. Else, the number is 0. So we're going to print out the results. So I'll save this and refresh our page and see if it works. All right, so there is a little problem. Let's see why we are not getting our prompts. Okay, on cut error on line 78, prompt is not defined. Oh, okay, so I have a little spelling with my prompt. So I'm going to spell this properly. Save this and refresh the page. Now check number. All right, so I'll cancel this and make sure it displays properly well. So when I refresh the page and we want to check number, and I click the button, it prompts me to enter a number. So let's try with 0. Now it's going to check with the conditions we've given here, and let's see the result that will be printed out. So if I click OK, okay, it tells me number is undefined because I used an hyphen instead of the equal to sign, the equal to operator here. So these little errors are important. You take note of them when you're writing your scripts. It could cause little or lots of headache to figure out. All right, so I'll refresh this now and let's check the number and use the equal to sign. Because we've fixed the equal to sign, it gives us the results that we specified if none of these conditions are met, which is your number is 0. But let's say we use a number like let's use 100. Click OK. Now it says your number is positive because it meets the first condition, which says if the number is greater than 0, it prints the number is positive. So this is one way to use conditional statements in JavaScript. All right, so let's go to math operations. Now, math operations, we're not going to do much here. We're just going to make use of the few math methods to illustrate a little math operation. So for the math operation, let's create a function. And this function is for the demonstrates, no, what was it again? Okay, perform math. Copy this. Now paste it. Now in pair of curly braces, we want to give our function. So this is going to just be basic. So we say let's x equal to let's use 3, and now we can look at how to make use of the different math methods. So we have methods like square roots, and how do we do this? Let's put this in a variable. So say let's square roots. I'm going to write this abbreviated. Square root equal to, now the math method here, or the math objects which we're going to use. So how does this work? JavaScript has, just like we have objects that we can, or class like this, that we pass objects into an instance. So JavaScript has a math object that we can use whenever we need to perform a particular math operation. So now for this math operation, we want to check the square root of a particular value. So, but to do that, we use the math objects. For here, we're going to specify maths. So it starts with a capital letter, maths dot the name of the variable that we've specified here. So it's going to make use of any we're going to make use of what we store in it. So that square root. So square root is sqrt is the name of this method as well. So sqrt, and we want to check the square root of x. Close this. And let's see power for math objects. So I'll save this as power. Power will be equal to, just like we did, we use the math objects, maths.power. So the method name is power. So these methods are in the maths object. This should be in capital letter. So maths.power, and we can say x. We want to check the value of x raised to power. That's the value of x is 3 here. So the power now, we're going to specify the power with a comma separated syntax like this. Let's say we want to check the x value of x raised to power 3. And I'll close this. So there are other stuff we can do. We can see for random. So let's check for random. I think we did this in the class lesson. So let's random equal to maths. That's random. So this is just going to print out random numbers. All right, so let's output this to the screen. So we can say, let's output equal to, we're going to create a formatted string. So say let's output equal to square. Root of x, since it's x we're using. We're going to make use of the way we wrote the previous formatted string. And here will be for x, so let's square root of x. Will be for the square roots. So the square root of x equals to, since we're checking the square root of x, we're going to call the variable where we've set the math object. So the name of the variable is sqrt. So this is going to call this variable and the math methods and objects that we have used inside the variable. So let's break this line and go to the next. And we can, on this line, we're going to look at to the power of. So say the power of x. I'm going to copy this. For the power of x. And then we're going to call the power variable. We used to store the method, objects and method for power. And this is for power. I'm going to break this. I want this next one to display
another line. Okay, and the third line, we just want to check random numbers, so we can say random number is for random number. So the random number, I'm going to copy this and paste in here. But this time, this will be for random number. I think this is all we have. So I'm going to end this line here. Now let's create let's output this to the screen. We use documents that gets elements by ID. And the ID for this output is math outputs. That's inner HTML, and we want to print outputs. We're going to save this, and if all goes well, we're going to have the maths performed here. So the maths performed here, after clicking the button, is the first thing we have is the square roots of 3. So you can see the square roots of 3 is 1.732 and so on. And then the power of 3. So you see, even with the formatted string, just by calling the variable name, it gives the value of the variable. So the power of 3, like we specify here, the power of x, which is 3, is 27. And then a random number, which is given as 0.1509, and so on. So these are just little maths methods that we can use in JavaScript. There are so much, but we just want to look at very little because of time. Now, next, we're going to look at sets. So sets in JavaScript, I'm coming. I have to fix something. All right. So sets is a collection of values where each value must be unique. Sets are useful for storing unique values of any type, whether primitive values or object references. So let's use an example here. So we want to demonstrate sets, a set that we're going to create once we click this button. So we're going to use the function for the button, and the function name here is demonstrate sets. Okay. All right. Now, basically, to create a set, we are doing this inside a function. But to create a set in JavaScript, we just say, you can say, let's my set. So we know this is our set variable. We want to store the set in this variable equal to, we use the new keyword and the name sets. So we say let's my set equal to new set, and this automatically creates a set. And next we want to, just like we did for array, we want to pass the set into the set elements into the variable as a set. So we say, yeah, we're just going to keep repeating the name of the sets. So we say my sets, that we use methods here to add the by doing this, we have created a set, but now, just like we did for array, we want to add property, want to add elements to this set. We want to add some contents now, some items to this set we've created, set variable. So we use my sets dot add is the method, and in the pair of brackets, we want to specify what we're adding. So I want to add numbers. So I'm adding 1. I'm going to close this, and I want to add another. So my sets dot add, I want to add the number 5. So if we're adding strings, I would put this in a pair of quotes, but because these are numbers, so I'm not using quotes for them. So I want to add 1, 5, 1. I'm going to end this line here. Now, because sets is unique, we are going to have only 2 items here added to our set, because it's going to read this one as a repeated item and displays it as just 1 item. So that is one of the unique features of sets, unlike other collection types. So here we are going to have just only 2 items when we try to look at how many items we have inside this set variable. So let's see how this works. So we are going to check if, first of all, this set has the variable, the item 1, number 1. So let's create a variable for that. Say let's has 1 equal to my set. And the method, so we are using the method we've learned so far to look through variables. So we say my set dot has, and we want to check if it has the value 1 in the variable. I'm going to close this, and then let's see the size of this set that we've created to confirm if it's truly unique, that it reads the repeated item as 1. So to do that, we say let size equal to my sets, and we use the method size, my sets dot size. I'll close this here. All right, so let's see how this is going to be displayed. So say let's output we say sets has 1. We're going to confirm if the set has 1, and we're going to use the variable. Break this line here. Now, next we want to check the size. So we can say set size going to see the size of the sets. Okay. Right, so let's output this to the screen using documents that gets elements by ID, and the ID is set outputs. That's inner HTML equal to the outputs we want to display to the screen. So I'm going to save this, refresh our page, and demonstrate sets. Okay, we have an error. Let's check for the error. We have 2 on line 121. It says unexpected end of input. So it's a syntax error on line 121. Where is line 121? Oh, okay. Let's see why the scripts. Something is wrong with the scripts. I'm just going to undo till I find what has gone wrong. Okay, so I see what is wrong. The closing curly brace was not specified. I'm going to save this, refresh the page, and hopefully it's fixed. All right, and that's fixed. So take note of every error I've had so far, so you see how to debug your scripts whenever you have any error, as I said. All right, so now we have checked to see if set has 1, and it says set has 1 is true. So this gives us a true or false statement when we use the has method. We've checked to see if the set truly has 1, and it says true, but the size of the set is not 3 as we have given here. The size of the set is given as 2 because sets, as we have learned, set is unique and does not repeat items that are the same. So everything has to stay unique. So we can also look at how to delete items from the sets. So just with the little time we have, I'm just going to quickly add this here. Let's try to delete something from the sets. So here I'm just going to say my sets. That's delete. So delete is the method. And what do we want to delete? We want to delete the number 5 from the sets. And because if we check the size here, it's going to tell us the exact size because it reads by line. So I'm going to move this here. Let's see the size after we have deleted line of the number 5. So I'll put this here and save this. refresh the page and let's perform. So you see now because first we asked, does the set has 1? And it says true. But after deleting the item number 5, we only have 1 as the size now, because it doesn't still read the 1 as 2 items. It reads it as 1 because it stays unique no matter what. All right, so this is all we can cover for this session. I believe that we can, after watching the class lesson video, if you have any question or if you have any challenges in your assignments, you can as well reach out to me from the class WhatsApp group. So I wish you all success in your assignments and a lovely weekend ahead.